Yes, guys. Hello and welcome to Spurs Related. As always, absolute pleasure to be here amongst so many people in the chat already. Big up for the support lately. Really appreciate it. Hope you've enjoyed the recent videos, the vlogs, the little scouting review that Andre and I did on when was that Andre Tuesday. But nevertheless, we have, as you can see, a special guest for a special game, a huge game. Doesn't get much bigger than this. So yeah, he had to bring the creme de la creme, and we got him below. But before I introduce him, Andre, how you doing, mate?
I'm pretty pumped. A little nervous. I can't lie. I think in terms of all of the time that I've cheered for Spurs, I think I've never seen such a high stakes North London derby before. Like this is a must win game, or that's it.
Nail on the head, Andre. Spot on. Like it doesn't get much bigger than this. I don't feel like there's ever been a time where it's been this close, especially for just one place in the top four. Absolutely huge. I'm sure we'll get down to it as to whether everyone else thinks it's the biggest. But like I said, the creme de la creme's here. It's the main man himself. It's Ireland's #1 Harry Kane fan. I actually gonna let him do the intro because I always fuck it up. It's the man himself, Dave Harris. Dave, Irish Hotspur, how are we doing, mate?
I'm absolutely buzzing. I mean, this is my time. This is my time to shine, and I absolutely revel in it. I've been a man in demand over the last couple of weeks. Haven't been asked to be on any channel in a long time. But all of a sudden, over the last 2 days, it's ramped up. They all want a bit of the Irish Hotspur. Do you know why? Because they know I represent Tottenham with pride. That's why they want a bit of the Irish Hotspur, my man. And look, at the end of the day, this is what football is all about. North London derbies, rivalries, the hatred for each other, but in a friendly way, and beating your rivals. This is what I live for. This is the moment that every Spurs fan lives for. And look, Andre is right. I mean, look, if they beat us at our stadium, they'll be celebrating not only Champions League football, but St. Tottenham's Day, which they haven't had, in about five years. So, I mean, there's a lot riding on this. I want to give them a good pace and a good old-fashioned beatdown, one that they'll never forget.
Yeah, spot on. Couldn't agree more. Like, that would be the worst. I didn't even think about it like that. Like, this is gonna be their celebration day, like they had. I remember the worst one in my lifetime was when we absolutely bottled it in a 2-horse race, and it's that meme about we came third in a 2-horse race, and then obviously Arsenal finished second, we finished third, and then we lost 5-0, was it, to Newcastle on that last day, and they beat whoever they beat, and I had to turn off social media. I had to go to bed. I just couldn't. I felt like I got the flu, mate. I couldn't be asked. I just left it there, and I'm sure you guys know exactly what I'm talking about with that. But let's get into things. But before we do so, let's invite some of the Spurs Relatables onto the screen, onto the centre stage. SOF's the first comment today. Hey, Nami, he's beaten you for once. He's in here. He says, "Afternoon, gentlemen. I know you're discussing the North London derby, but take a look at the new Champions League format. Next season, top 5 qualify and possibly a 6th Premier League team based on a coefficient. I see no reason for Conte to leave. Levy back him." Wow, I haven't actually seen these plans. Dave, have you seen anything about this? He's just Googling it now.
No, I haven't actually. Look, I know I seen a piece that Football London done yesterday. People asking if Liverpool won the Champions League this season, does 5th qualify for Champions League, and that's not the case whatsoever. But I'll be honest with you, I've been that busy winding up Gooner fans today because that's what this is all about. I haven't even had time to look at anything like that because I mean I'll get to that after North London derby. I have emergencies to tend to, which is Arsenal fans putting them back in their place.
Well put. Very well put. Put them back in that corner. On your bike, Scott's actually in here as well. It says, "Big up, lads, COYS. Legend, Scott. Your profile picture still remains my favourite YouTube profile picture. Your dog and the mat. I don't know why. It's just so simple. I absolutely love it."
What I think we should do actually there quickly on your bike, Scott, is we should get him to shave the Spurs crest into the dog. That'd be awesome.
Get a special barber for that one. That's brilliant. Make it happen, Scott. Let us know when you got the picture for that one. Then that would be an upgrade on that profile picture for sure. Army's in here. Says UEFA made very big claims about the Super League by even threatening players in the Euros, but proceed to make the UCL have the same format. Bit dodgy in my opinion. Listen, we'll get into this Champions League new format later in the week. As Andre actually said, before we started the stream, he said, well, we might not even need to look at it because if we lose on Thursday, let's be honest, we don't need to talk about Champions League, but it's a very good point. Obviously, we will review that should it need be. Carl's in here, says, good evening, gents. Hope you're well. Carl, absolutely pleasure to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. Welsh Gal's in here, says, big up, lads. Let's do this. Up the mighty Spurs and down with a scum. Couldn't have put it better myself. Absolutely love it. Dan COYS is back in here. He says, definitely getting Champions League vibes. Anticipation for this match. The build-up, the stats, combined 11s, and Spurs-Arsenal stream collabs, including this man down here. He's all over them. I'm not going to start having to call him like AFTV Hotspur or something. And he says, fighting for our club. Now it's down to the players, COYS, absolutely. Bobby K's in here, says, big up James, Andre, David, and everyone in the chat. COYS, absolutely always pleasure to see you, Bobby K. Hope you're doing well, mate. Can't wait to be on the channel this weekend. It's going to be a good one on your little Three Boys channel. Absolutely doing brilliant already, and can't wait to be on there. Hey, and he's saying, if we win this match, I don't see us dropping points against Burnley, who we usually beat at home, and Norwich, but I can see Arsenal dropping points for Newcastle, which would be massive. Again, we'll get into that in just a moment's time. He's loving it. He's absolutely loving it, Dave. Brian's in here. Welcoming in, Brian. Hope you're doing well, mate. He says, I'm very nervous about this game. Aren't we all, mate? Aren't we all? I'm absolutely quaking in my boots, to be honest with you, but very excited as well. It's a bit of a balance. Paddy's saying, dream, dare, do. Yeah, I saw this on Twitter earlier. I kind of tried to block it out, a bit like Dave was saying. I'm just focusing on the game before reading into this kind of new marketing or new stadium rights, or it's just like, let's focus on the game. All the news comes out at the wrong time, doesn't it, as we know.
This is the default they're putting up in the South Stand before the game. They're putting like some sort of bags on everybody's seat in the South Stand, and once you hold it up, that's what it'll say is dream, dare, do. I mean, look, I have no problem with that. I believe something like that should be done for every game, no matter who we're playing. You know, I want the stadium to be a fortress. But look, it's hopefully they apply the same motto to the transfer model this summer.
Yeah, exactly. Not even dream, dare, do. Just dream, bloody do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, just don't piss about, Levy. That would be better. But on that topic about the kind of stadium atmosphere, I'm sure it doesn't need much kind of oomph to get it going tomorrow. But at the same time, we're gonna be mean to hell if we lose about that dream, dare, do. If we lose that game, you know that's all over Arsenal Twitter, all over Arsenal social media. So it's a risky one. But listen, hopefully it doesn't backfire.
Just quickly, I got a new protest for Daigle. If they don't have a good summer transfer window this season, we should fill the South Stand, right? And we should just have identify, pursue, and buy. That's what we should do.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, crumbs. We'll tackle Daigle's kind of.
I'll have to ring him. It's genius.
So we could actually, that could be done, couldn't it? Instead of the club putting the paper on the seats, so you hold it up. We've got Daigle sprinting around the South Stand before the game, just absolutely going ham, putting his paper down on these 12,000, 18,000 seats, and it's going to go, Levy, fuck off, and it's going to be all over BBC, all over Sky. It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, you'll see Sky doing the punditry before the game, and Brian Daigle whizzing up and down on the electric scooter.
Bunny hopping down the stairs.
One for you.
Kev G says, evening fellas, evening Kev, hope you're doing well, my friend. Always good to see you. Carl saying we're smashing the scum tomorrow. I'm super confident. Wow, a lot of confidence in here. Bobby K's getting Andre out of bed for his little review on Saturday. I can't wait for it. I can't wait to it. But Andre, if you're still snoring, then I might have to ring you 10 times.
No, I'll get there.
Ellie's saying, David, there are 3 of you today. Absolutely, Ellie. It's a pleasure to have you in the chat. Bobby K saying, big up Carl, Welsh, Gal, Paddy, Ellie. This is what I love about this kind of vibe in all the Spurs chats, actually, not just ours. It's just such a nice vibe. Everyone's saying hello to each other. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Friends. Everyone's friends. It's great, isn't it?
It's great. It's great. We're all friends, and then when we lose, we start, getting a little bit of arguments here and there about potential opinions. But we wouldn't have it any other way, would we? We wouldn't have it any other way. The tifo is similar to the Champions League Ajax game. Hope it's not the same result as that night. Well, yeah, that was a 1-0 loss against Donny van der Beek. By the way, he's in the reserves at Everton now, so that went well. What has been the Irish Hotspur highlight for this season? Do you know what? I would say normally let's wait and get into things, but I'm gonna throw you with a saucy question from Brian here then.
I have to say that the absolute beating we gave West Ham, the one that they couldn't handle. Look, at the end of the day, there was more. I kind of added more spice to it, and this is why it means so much to me, and this is why I hate them so much. Look, I said something for a bit of banter. They decided that that they'd try and cancel me off it, and I just said, okay, that's fine, no problem whatsoever. I'll just turn up to the stadium tomorrow, spank you, and then see what you're saying. And then they all went quiet. And then, after they lost to the Europa League, I put up a picture with censored across my mouth and just said, I won't speak this time because of what you done to me last time. I'll just enjoy your tears in silence. That went down like an absolute storm. People loved it. And beating West Ham was the highlight of my season just purely because, they tried, but they failed to take the Irish Hotspur down. One man, they couldn't do it.
Do you know what? I know about this story because I've heard it like every time you mention it. It cracks me up every time that they tried to cancel you and you took it in your stride and everything. But also, I think one thing to take from this is when those fixtures come out in whenever they bring them out, July, just for August. Not only are you going to be looking for that North London derby straight away, you're going to be looking for West Ham. So you get ready for your social media propaganda as well. Like get out there, have that West Ham fans, blowing bubbles. You're not blowing bubbles in Seville. That one will crack me up as well.
James, I'm on a mission. I'm fed up with all these niceties on each other's channels when rival teams are coming up against each other. I'm fed up with the honesty. In all honesty, I'm fed up with it. Look, when you go to a rival's channel or you're talking to rival fans, you do not give them an inch whatsoever. That's the way I was brought up on the football terraces, and that's the way I remain. And I'm here to bring it back. That's what I'm doing. I'm sick of all this nicety. That's why I wouldn't give it to the Arsenal fan earlier on my channel. Just stuck by my guns. Like, no, at the end of the day, not having it. I don't want to see red over here.
You invite him on your channel, but make sure you know that it's a Tottenham channel still. Don't get taken over by that. Absolutely. Right, guys. I mean, the comments are flying in. I'll read a couple more. I'll read them as I go along, of course, and bring them up on screen. But we'll get into the player reviews. There's no Andre is bursting to read out his stats that he's kind of nerded over in the last 24 hours. I can see him almost like chomping at the bit, but Ellie's saying, Carl, great to see you in the chat. Has your daughter signed for Spurs ladies yet? Well, it sounds like we got a bit of a superstar on our hands. He says, last game was unforgivable. Get the first goal. I'm playing with confidence. I want Emerson to be defensively solid like he was against Liverpool. We'll talk all about Emerson and how we think he's going to perform as well. Dan says he enjoyed David's collab earlier. So the combined 11, no Arsenal player is good enough to grace us with their presence in the Spurs 11.
I had to say it to him. I mean, he didn't like it, but I had to do it, That's the truth. He's a good guy, though. I look, the Arsenal fan, he is a good guy. It's just about the shame about the club he supports, to be honest.
Yeah, you got to feel a bit sorry for him in a way, haven't you? Like, he kind of probably missed out on the good times in the sort of the early 2000s, and now he's stuck with Lego Man himself, as you call him, Dave. So
he hates him.
I saw the start of the video. He said Conte or Arteta, and he says this man's a fraud and everything, didn't he? And finally, Brian saying mine was when the Spurs community help out. A sick Spurs fan is serious. I'm glad he got his season ticked. Yeah, absolutely lovely. I love stuff like that. I get it.
He put in a trick question. He should have said, was it football related or was it like community related? If it was community related, there's so many different things. He should have. Brian McGuire, phrase your question better next time, my man.
Yeah, exactly. Like he didn't. I thought he meant the games as well. But to be fair, Brian, we know exactly what you mean as well as that. Because like, just without going off on one, like when we get a message on Spurs Related on our Instagram saying, "Can you let people know to clap on the 9th minute because something was significant to do at 9?" Or the most recent one I had was against Everton when we won 5-0. This guy contacted me and said, look, I've followed your page for ages. My dad sadly passed away age, I think it was 60. and we're doing a clap on the 60th minute, and I reposted on the story a couple of times, and lo and behold, obviously it's not just us, but the rest of the Spurs community. I heard the clap loud and clear. I was at the stadium, and it was lovely to hear. You gave me a message saying I can't thank you enough, and it's little things like that. Really, it doesn't take much of our time, and it creates a difference, doesn't it?
No, and look, it's the same with me, man. Over at the Irish Hotspur, myself and Jack, anyone that gets in contact and asks us to say something, we will always do it, I was only messing with you, Brian. I was only messing with you, but we'll always do it. I mean, look, Brian highlights like just little things like that, having the discussions on the channels and stuff like that about, the six Spurs fan and stuff like that who we ended up helping. And there's many more along the season. It's been amazing.
100%. Couldn't have put it better myself, Dave. Which brings me on to the Tim Hortons sponsored. Is it, Andre? You got that contract with Tim Hortons in Canada now for your player picks, is it?
I think so at this point, yeah. I think that's the best title.
Tim Hortons, Andre's player picks, 3 player picks of the opponent, the ones that are in form at this current moment. So when you guys see one player and think he's only scored 4 goals, that's because he scored 4 goals in 4 games and he's been awful the rest of the season. But so over to you, Andre. It's your part.
All right, perfect. So let's get started here. The first player that I've picked for this Arsenal game that we need to look out for is Eddie Nketiah. I know he hasn't had the most games, but most recently he stepped up in place of Lacazette. At the moment, 24 matches, 9 goals, 1 assist, played around 1,000 minutes. And in his last 5 matches, 4 of those 9 goals have occurred. 2 against Chelsea and 2 most recently over the weekend against Leeds. A 79% pass succession and a 43% shots on target. And actually, for a striker, I guess this doesn't matter too much, but 90% tackle success. So he'll win the ball back if he does lose it from these defenders.
Yeah, but Andre, I got to stop you there. Has he made 10 tackles and won 9 though? Like, do you know what I mean? Or has he made 5 tackles and won 4?
Well, it doesn't matter. It means he'll know when to tackle. That's the thing. And when you got someone like Davies or Dyer at the back,
Listen, I think the only tackle involved with Eddie Nketiah is Højbjerg or Romero absolutely clattering this guy to make sure we let him know we're there early. That's the only tackle I want to involve with Eddie Nketiah, and that will be a tackle success for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. But overall, I would say keep an eye on this guy. He's in the best of form that he's ever had, and I wouldn't even be surprised if he causes us problems with the defenders we have at the moment.
I don't know. I'll let Dave answer this one because I'm not convinced on this guy, but I don't want to curse it at the same time as well. So let's hear what Dave thinks of Eddie Nketiah.
No goals on Nketiah. Look, he's coming into a little bit of form of late, but look, some of the goals that he's scored has practically been absolutely gifted to him. But look, Romero has tackle stats of his own. 62 tackles, which Romero has, is the 3rd best in the Spurs squad. Bear in mind, he missed a large chunk of the campaign as well. So, I mean, look, Nketiah can have his little tackling stats. It'll be a different story once he comes up against Romero. I've seen many of Premier League big boys come in fancying it, and then all of a sudden we unleash Romero on them and they start changing their game. They start passing the ball back inside or backwards because they don't want to go up against this guy. Look, he can come in thinking he's the big man with his few tackles and, he goals that have been handed to him, but Romero will sort that out this week tomorrow night.
Absolutely. No goals, Nketiah. I don't know. It's just that you always come up with a nickname, don't you, Dave? But Joe's put, he's a childish version of Rhian Brewster. Interesting. Ireland Live says, want to see Romero leave a stamp on him. Exactly what Dave's saying. Brian says, one thing I forgot was Bob TV getting well again. Very well said, Brian. And I know he's saying championship level fraud, better than lack of threat, though. He's gone with your nickname. Yeah. Lack of threat. Oh, that is the best one for an opposing player. Lack of threat. Oh my goodness!
Well, at the end of the day, if our defenders are not on the ball, he will, and we start gifting these sort of, and you know that this is no secret that sometimes our defenders just gift it to them. Looking at you, Davies, who passes it right to the opposition all the time. He might hurt us, so let's just keep our eye on him. That is the main issue here. We do have defenders that gift it to the opposition.
But do you know what? For people that are like, and I get he's got what did you say, Andre? 4 goals.
Yeah, 4 goals in his last 5.
Yeah, 4 goals in these last 5. But I did watch him against West Ham, and he couldn't hit a barn door with a bulldozer. So I mean, hopefully that Nketiah turns up. The amount of chances he had, and every single one of them went off target, ended up being a souvenir.
Yep. Let's just if we're on our A game, he shouldn't cause us any problems then. Irish Hotspur. Yeah, I understand. I completely get if you've been watching him. I'm gonna trust your judgment here.
It was only against West Ham.
He's got the Irish Hotspur stamp here. No goals in Nketiah. Let's keep it that way, please.
Oh goodness, please.
First defenders, Davies, please. Dyer, please.
Don't get us clipped, Dave. Don't get us clipped, man.
All right, so now
we will get cancelled. Then we really will.
Yeah, that's just gonna be a whole. Yeah. All right,
you won't have to worry about West Ham fans. You'll have to worry about Arsenal fans.
Let's move on from this guy now. Let's get on to Bukayo Saka, which no surprise he's made my top 3 players to look for. 40 matches, so playing a lot of games. 12 goals, 6 assists. He's picked up a few yellow cards. He's picked up 6. Run 3,000 minutes played this season. He has 2 goals, 1 assist in his last 5 matches. 1 against Chelsea, 1 against Manchester United, and he has 1 assist against West Ham United. And he has an 80% pass succession, 34% shots on target. So obviously, I personally think this is a much stronger player than Eddie Nketiah, and I definitely think this will be the guy that will, if one of them is going to hurt us, it's going to be him.
I don't know. I'm going to let Dave start on this one because I've got some opinions on Saka.
Yeah, boom Saka Laka or ball Saka, whatever you want to call him, Saka shit. Look, I personally think the guy is completely overrated. He's just want to be Raheem Sterling, in my opinion. Just want to be Raheem Sterling. Look, he's decent. He's okay. Do I think he causes too many problems? Nah. Look, he's a man in a child's body. He'd be bold around that. He'd be absolutely, hoisted around that Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tomorrow night. Not going to happen. Boom, Saka Laka will go missing.
Boom, Saka Laka. Saka shit.
That's a good nickname. Never thought of that.
Unbelievable. Scout saying want Romero to be an animal, but not to get sent off. Yeah, I mean, Romero's definitely getting booked tomorrow. There's no way he's not. 100% Romero takes out Martinelli as grudge against Brazilian players. See what he did to Richarlison. Exactly. Mickey Mouse says that he's doubt, but I can't see them playing without him, even if he has a knock. And Cesar Emerson, they're going to block Saka out. Wow. Imagine Emerson pocketing Saka. I mean...
Well, Arteta has said that his knock, he'll be fine to play. He's fine.
So. I mean, my opinion on Saka very quickly is, listen, he's a good young player. He's obviously rated very highly by Arsenal fans. He did all right in the Euros, other than the penalty shootout, and he's just, for me, when I watch him, he doesn't have that wow factor. And I don't watch Arsenal week in, week out, so I'm going to get people say, oh, he is really good, he makes stuff happen. But when you compare him to a player like Son, he's just not got that moment in him where he can turn up in a big game and get a goal when he's not playing so well. I mean, look at the game at the weekend, right? Son hits 20 goals in the Premier League. I don't know, how many did you say Saka has, Andre?
12.
Is that Premier League?
Well, that's in total, but in the Premier League, not 12.
Yeah, there's no way. I don't even think he has 8. So my point is, okay, Son's a much more experienced player. Saka's still 20 years of age, but he just doesn't, at the moment, have that moment where he can just bring up a bit of brilliance when Arsenal aren't playing too well. I don't see that. He kind of scores when Arsenal are playing very well, and I know that may sound silly, but I just don't think he's he's gonna cause us loads of problems. We're gonna get clipped so bad. I know it. We're gonna get clipped.
Well,
But
I will say you're already going to get clipped because you're comparing a 20-year-old to Son.
but
compare him to Kulusevski even. Kulusevski,
exactly.
Same amount of numbers.
Exactly, Dave. Exactly that. I mean, Kulusevski's been here since January. He has 8 assists or 9 assists. Saka has 6 in the whole season. Like, it just doesn't have that wow factor. I think Saka and Kulusevski are kind of much more on a similar level. But, like, of course I'm comparing him to Son, but just, you have to. It's a matchup. Who do I compare him to then? Andre, I get what you're saying, but you have to compare the two sides. And I think Son can have a moment of brilliance and change the game when we're not playing too well. So can Kulusevski, to be fair to him. And Saka just does well when Arsenal are doing well. You know me a time when Saka's single-handedly won Arsenal a game when they're not playing so well, because I couldn't tell you.
True, and I think it's more so. I see what you're saying. You're comparing the players now. Whether or not Saka will be an excellent player in the future, that we won't know that. That's the future. But for now, yeah, I get what you mean for this game.
Saka will start for England within the next couple of tournaments. Well, he was kind of already starting in the group stage, wasn't he, Joe? He was already starting for England. That's what I'm saying. He had an all right Euros. He just didn't end well for him and England. But to be honest with you, I just don't think I can get on the Saka hype. A, because he's an Arsenal fan, and I'm going to be negative about him anyway. But B, like genuinely, like if you compare him to a player that Arsenal have had in the past, again, an older player but a more experienced player, he doesn't have the Alexis Sanchez where I'm like, shit, this player could be a real problem today. He could win Arsenal the match single-handedly. Arsenal don't have that anymore.
No.
They just don't. They don't have an Ozil. They don't have a Sanchez. Like, they just don't have those players that I'm just fearing every time we play Arsenal. I'm looking forward to playing Arsenal tomorrow. Of course, I'm nervous, but I have that confidence going into the game because I know if Arsenal aren't playing well, they don't have that player that can rescue them. They just don't.
Yeah, but how often do these? I know you're talking about the game, like this game tomorrow is what you're saying, but I mean, it's kind of harsh to say he doesn't have that wow factor, and like none of the players that we have had a wow factor at 20 either. Son didn't really get his wow factor until like 2 seasons into Spurs.
But that's not me slating Saka. I'm comparing the game for tomorrow and saying we're reviewing if this player is going to be a problem, and I don't think he is. That's my opinion.
When the big moments step up and the pressure's on, he goes hiding. It's exactly what happened in the Euros, and it'll happen again tomorrow night.
Exactly.
Oof, big words.
I mean, Dave, I don't know if you agree with me. Maybe I'm being a little harsh on Saka from what the chat's saying, but I just don't think I can't see Saka beating 2 or 3 players and scoring a goal. Like, again, I'm going to compare it to a more experienced player, but I have to compare what's in front of me, right? I have to compare the team we're playing tomorrow. And if you look at it, like that year, those years, like 2013, 14, when Gareth Bale would, 2012, 13, when Gareth Bale would single-handedly pick up the ball, run with the ball, and score an absolute worldie against Arsenal, score worldies in important games. And like, we had those big game players. We have those big game players now in Son and Kane. Arsenal do not, forget about Saka, Arsenal do not have those big game players that can just change it in a moment. I don't think.
I agree. Look, they had Henry who used to be able to do it, Bergkamp, Overmars, Perez, Youngberg. They've always had players. If you want to go more recent, when Ozil, before he started, being the most overpaid Fortnite player in the world, he used to be able to do that. Alexis Sanchez. I look at the likes of Saka. I look at the likes of Odegaard, the cheap cleaning oven product. Bang, all he's good is for removing stains out my oven pan. I look at Emil Smith-Rowe, but yes, they can produce moments throughout the season. But when the big games come about, like James said, if things aren't going well, can they get on the ball, beat 2 or 3 players, and make something happen? I just don't see it. This is a big team for me lately. I'm not afraid of Arsenal anymore. I don't look at them and say, "Oh, blimey, we have to watch him today." I look at it going in. As long as we play to the best of our ability, we beat them every time.
Exactly.
See, I don't fully agree with you. I think we're forgetting one very important Arsenal player, probably the best Arsenal player in the history of Arsenal players, Granit Xhaka.
Man,
I'm just
you're on a
joking.
wind up, Andre. You're on a wind up.
He's still in midfield. He disrespected the badge of the club, thrown his jersey on the ground and everything else. It just kind of goes to show everything about them, really.
Honestly,
Well.
I mean, Granit Xhaka, I can't stand that man. The way we're talking about these players, it actually winds me up. I don't know why. I can't stand Arsenal. I mean, obviously, it's an obvious point, but I just absolutely detest even talking about them. No wonder I'm getting slated in the chat of why are you comparing Saka to Son, and James, stop comparing a 20-year-old to a 28-year-old. My opinion has to come out. I've got to review what's in front of us, and I have to go back to the Arsenal of 7-8 years ago, and I was absolutely shitting myself playing Arsenal. But now I'm thinking, no, I'm confident in this game. I'm really confident. And do you know what? I probably will get clipped tomorrow if we lose. But I have to think I have to say I'm thinking now. And that is, I'm confident going into this game. And Dave will agree.
Who else are you supposed to compare him to? You can only compare him to our front three players if you want Son, Kane, and Kulusevski. Sexy. It's not our fault. It's not our fault that we have three world-class players in that forward line to compare him to. It's not our fault. That's Arsenal's fault. They allowed this to happen. And at the end of the day, what do you want us to do? Compare him to Winks, Emerson? What? Yeah. Just to be favourable towards
actually, guys, let's compare him to like David Bentley and Mido. Let's do that. Let's do that instead today. But no, joking aside, actually, we finally got him in the chat. It's one of my friends. He is an Arsenal fan. I got him on A because he was keen to come on and get his opinion on it, and B, it's going to cause a little bit more of a stir on this one. And actually, it's going to be good to get an Arsenal opinion as well, because let's be honest, we've just downplayed Saka, but this guy's probably going to big up Saka. So let's welcome him on in. I can't even talk. Let's welcome him on in, guys, in the chat. He is his debut on the channel, so welcome in Dan Kent, the Arsenal fan. Dan,
hello.
How you doing, mate?
I'm not bad, you?
Yeah, we're all good.
How's everyone else? Everyone else is good.
We're doing good. We're doing good. We were just talking about Arsenal's most important, best player in the history of Arsenal, Granit Xhaka.
No, I heard you say that was it Saka's better than Son and Ketty's better than Kane, and he's world class. I think that's what I heard.
Pretty much, mate. Pretty much.
Yeah, that's what I heard. But Nketiah isn't world class. That's fine.
Before I obviously catch up on the chat, because there's a few people saying Tomiyasu's a one to watch and Odegaard's a one to watch. Dan, from your Arsenal perspective, who do you think will cause the most problems for Spurs tomorrow?
See, first name comes to mind is Martinelli. And the reason why I say that is it Emerson, your right back, who loves tacking, but then I think it's Liverpool quite a few times. They got in behind him, and Martinelli is like unbelievably fast. And I think what's going to happen is he's going to keep attacking down the right, and Martinelli's just going to keep outpacing him. Even Trent struggled to deal with him. We lost, but Trent struggled to deal with him, and that I think is going to be the early stages. I think Martinelli is going to give Emerson a run around, and then Saka is probably going to give Davies a run around, because obviously when you boys attack, you push your fullbacks up. Correct, I don't think Odegaard is going to have much impact, because I can see Højbjerg. I'm not going to lie about it. Yeah, I can see them sitting quite deep. So if Odegaard, if our midfield makes a big impact, I'll be quite surprised, because I can see us going wide. My main two, I don't really have a third. I mean, I suppose Ramsdale is going to be important tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I guess he'll be my third. I don't think Nketiah definitely isn't there.
But Dan,
definitely there.
Dan, just to ask you another question, and then we'll kind of carry on reviewing the Arsenal players. Do you think that, based on Saka and what we've just said about him, do you think he could have an impact tomorrow? Be honest.
Absolutely, he could have an impact. Absolutely, he could. But Ben Davies is a better defender than Emerson. That is where his impact. That's where his impact will struggle, I think, because Saka will make an impact. But let's be honest, he is left-footed and only left-footed. If he's on his right, that's it. It's done. It's a goal kick. So I think Saka will make an impact, but I'm not going to be surprised if he doesn't. It'll be either or. Like Martinelli and Saka, both of them don't make impact in the same game. You have Martinelli in Leeds. Saka, I didn't know he's on the pitch against Leeds. Martinelli running them around. Saka not so. So it'd be one or the other. But I think Martinelli more so than Saka because I don't rate Emerson as a defender. Not a bad player, but not a great defender.
No, you can say he's a bad player on this channel. Emerson is a terrible player. He's had his best game ever the weekend. And I mean, Dave, Andre, help me out here. Is he going to have a better game than against Liverpool?
I don't think so.
Ever?
The reason Emerson played so well, and I've been saying it 4 months now, it's because Emerson is not a right wing back. He's a right back. I don't think he attacks well. He defends. If he can stay back, he'll defend well. But if he has to push up, his defending is going to suck. He's a right back. So, of course, in the Liverpool game, where Conte's going to 100% tell his wing backs to stay back unless it's needed, it makes sense Emerson would have one of his best games where he's playing more of a right back.
Yeah, absolutely.
I personally think Romero will just come out and deal with him. I mean, he done it with St. Maximum at Newcastle. He gave Emerson a bit of a tricky start. Romero came across, clattered him, didn't want to know for the rest of the game. That's exactly what's going to happen to Martinelli.
That is Martinelli. Martinelli doesn't like the physical side of football. Like he'll get clad once or twice, and then he won't.
Danny's definitely not going to like it tomorrow when big Cutty Romero absolutely clotheslines him on the wing and makes sure he doesn't run at him again for the rest of the game.
But obviously Romero is an absolute hothead, so he's not going to just do it once.
No, it's controlled. It's controlled, my man. It's not a hothead. It's controlled aggression.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, last game we saw the return of the Romero that does some interesting tackles where he just swipes the players. But if I'm just hoping that it's the Romero that we've been seeing in the past few weeks, where every single tackle is on point. That's what I want to see from him, and it should be easier because we're not dealing with the Liverpool side. This is Arsenal. No offense,
Andre.
Both teams.
Andre, I wasn't gonna bring it up because you've brought up about Romero again. I'm gonna bring it up again in the chat because it causes an absolute stir, and I'm all for it. So Dave and Dan, just let me fill you in on something. So on the match review against Liverpool, we did a top 3 and bottom 3, and Andre put Cutty Romero in the bottom 3, and I just sat there, and I was at Joe's, and I couldn't believe it. Right. So I had to ask Twitter, did they think Romero was justified of being in the bottom 3 Spurs players? 100 people voted and 87 people said that Romero was class. And 13 said he was in the bottom 3. Now, Dave, let's get your opinion on this. Just because you rough up a player, make bad tackles and make a few bad passes, if you've been solid and essentially got a clean sheet other than the one goal, absolutely rustled some of the Liverpool players. Clean sheet. But forget that, Andre. That was hardly his fault.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Unbelievably, Romero. He was in my top 3. What do you think, Dave?
I agree. For me, I put him in for up from one of my Man of the Match awards, and he came second in the poll.
There you go.
For me, I actually thought he had a class game. Look, what you have to understand with Romero is, he may mistime some tackles, but then mistime tackles where he hurts people. They just don't. They think twice about trying to take him on again, and he's our best player on the ball out from the back. I mean, look, as good as Ben Davies' game he had, I've seen him just whoosh ball straight back up to Virgil van Dijk. With Romero, he doesn't do that. He tries to play out from the back. He tries to play football the right way. Definitely up there against Liverpool. Look, he put Mane in his pocket. Mane didn't want to know. Diaz, didn't want to go try and take him on the outside at all either. None of them wanted to know. Jordan Henderson learned his lesson very, very quickly.
Exactly. Spot on. I mean, without digressing too much about the to the Liverpool game, I mean, for me, Romero is key tomorrow. Without going over to the Spurs players, I mean, he holds that defense in place so much. We look so much more solid with him in defense. He's a leader as well. He's a leader, age 23. I would say he's our leader over Dyer personally. I wouldn't say Dyer has had a bad season, but he still made a few mistakes, and I will never, ever be on the Eric Dyer is good enough for England bandwagon. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it because, personally speaking, watching Dyer for a number of years at Spurs, I know he has a mistake in him, and I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that in the national team. But I'm bringing up other talking points. I need to stop. Andre, let's move on to the next Arsenal player, my man.
All right, so yeah, all right, let's move on. I have nothing more to say about that. Let's forget about that. I put Gabriel as the next guy to watch out for.
Dan's nearly just gone into his other room. Like, what's just happened there?
Let's hear about it, Daniel. What happened?
I don't understand how you can put any Arsenal defender in the top 3.
Well, he's currently he's been. I personally think he's just been solid. 89% pass success, 83% tackle success. He's got a goal in his last 5 matches against West Ham. So I just think if there's any defender that's going to give Tottenham a problem, it's going to be Gabriel, especially because Ben White is questionable at the moment.
The problem is both of them can't judge long balls. And Harry Kane is amazing at long balls, and he'll keep playing to Son, and Gabriel will do one of either thing. He'll completely lose the run of Son. He'll just foul Son about 64 times and get a red. Or Son will just beat him, and then he'll have a fight with someone else. They're the 3 things that he'll do. He's fine when you're not running at him. Same with Ben White. If you're not running at them, then they can sort of deal with it. When you start getting physical, they're all right, but that's about all I can give them.
This is interesting, isn't it? This is why I got Dan on, because like we're saying, well, Andre, I agree with Andre about Saka and Nketiah because they are their kind of men form. But I think with Gabriel, it's interesting getting Dan's opinion because we're thinking he's their best defender, but Dan's saying none of the defenders are good. So this is music to my ears. I don't know about Dave and Andre, but I mean, from someone that watches Arsenal week in, week out like Dan, if Gabriel isn't actually all that, then I'm happy to hear that. What about you guys?
I don't think any of them are, to be honest. Tomiyasu is probably the best defender.
Yeah.
And he's playing in the wrong position because Tavares, I hope, never plays his football ever again.
Right. Before we get Dave's opinion on the Arsenal defence, Joe's saying leaving Odegaard out is a crime, and Dan did say about Odegaard, but he does think he's going to be shut out, so that kind of goes with that thought. A&R's saying Tomiyasu, Odegaard, and Saka as their best players. Yeah. Dave, what do you think? Because obviously that was kind of Andre's picks, and to be fair to him, I assisted on them. Dave, who do you think are Arsenal's players to watch? And I know you're probably going to agree with Dan. The defence is absolute pony, but what do you think?
I don't think they have anybody to watch. This is what I keep telling people. I'm not afraid of Arsenal. I'm not doing this just because I'm a Spurs fan. I mean, they just don't present me with the fear factor they once did. Look, Tiramisu at right back, I think he's overrated. You know, Colgate White, I think he's overrated. Ben Shite, he's definitely overrated. Look, Gabriel, I mean, a lot of Arsenal fans are crowing about him. They didn't even want him last season. He was out on loan, I believe. You know, that guy, what is his name? Tavares, or I don't know, whatever.
Tavares.
Yeah, that whatever that. He's absolutely useless. You go into midfield. Xhaka, walking red card, doesn't even respect Arsenal Football Club. Not afraid of him. El Neni, I mean, honestly, how many times has that guy been out on loan? It's absolutely ridiculous that he's back in that Arsenal midfield. Look, going forward, Nketiah, I'm not afraid. I watched him against West Ham. He does the one thing every single time, hangs out wide, picks up the ball, tries to run at them. That's what he done against West Ham. Got his shots off target. Saka, not really worried about him. I just think the pressure will get to him. And Odegaard, not worried about him whatsoever, or Emil Smith-Rowe. I mean, I'm genuinely not worried about him. Look, I watched Arsenal teams with talent from all the way from front to back. This is one of the worst Arsenal teams I've seen in my lifetime. I'm just not afraid.
I agree, and this is what I was saying. That's why I'm saying we're probably going to get clipped, Dave, if we lose this game. But I won't change my opinion on this. I genuinely think this is Arsenal's weakest side in my lifetime, and like you said, in your lifetime as well, Dave. Because like growing up for me, I was watching Thierry Henry, Pires, Bergkamp. Then you go even further. You got Sanchez, Özil. Those players I feared going into a North London derby. Now I look at the Arsenal team sheet like we're doing now, and I'm thinking, right, so if I had to pick a fear factor, but when it was 5-6 years ago, I'd go bang, Ozil, bang, Sanchez, bang, probably who's the big guy, Vermaelen or someone like that. Now, I haven't got a clue. That's me being honest. I haven't got a clue to put in the top 3. That's just being honest, right? That's not
a kids' crash. They're running a nursery over there. Under 12s is what their team look like when they walk out. An under 12 side.
I mean, Dan, I don't know if you think we're being too harsh. I know you said you wouldn't put the defenders in there, but maybe just to kind of create a debate. Do you think that we're being harsh on the fear factor of Arsenal?
Well, I'll just ask you for a simple question. How is an under 12 side ahead of you lot in table?
Well, we've had to change your
manager. And there's a silence. So there it is.
No. I'm answering you. You've had too much sugar, my man. I'm not silent. No, look. Since then, it's. I wouldn't exactly be gloating about this season, because you have to remember. I mean, Arteta, you went out in the FA Cup nice and early, so that you can reduce yourselves down to 1 game a week. May I add, I know you don't want to talk about it, but you also had no European football this season whatsoever, not one. And, with the no European football, you've been reduced to 1 game a week. 1 game a week. I mean, and Arteta and Arsenal look a lot better than what they are.
And to add to that, Dave, they've had 1 game a week, but sometimes they think, actually, fuck it, we've got COVID this week. We're going to actually cancel this game and bring it back to May. So this game was meant to go ahead in when? November or December, right? Everyone was buzzing for it. It was a huge game then. It would have been Conte's first North London derby. Oh, no. We're going to cancel it because we've got COVID. Well, actually, Conte came out and said today that it was the worst kept secret ever. No Arsenal player had COVID. So why was that game postponed? And I'm saying if we beat you then, that would have knocked you. That would have knocked the stuffing out of the morale. You probably would have dropped about 3-6 points. It could have been a different season. But, Dan, as you said, Arsenal are above Spurs at the moment. But this game is huge. And if we win it, all the pressure's on you, my friend. All the pressure is on you against Newcastle, and you know it. So let me ask you another question, Dan, because I like these debates. They're good. It gets Irish. It gets Dave off his seat a bit. It gets him a bit riled up, which is nice. But, Dan, if we beat you tomorrow, do you think Spurs will get top 4?
No. Because no. The problem I have is both teams have been poor this season. There hasn't been a point where Spurs have been unbelievable when they deserve it, and there hasn't been a point where Arsenal have been unbelievable when they deserve it. How on earth this top 4 race is still? Arsenal should have been long gone. This game should mean nothing, but Arsenal bottled it, and then you guys came back, and then you beat Man City, and lost to Burnley. Both teams. This game, we are hyping this game so much up, and it's probably going to be a 0-0. But it is what it is. I don't think it will be. I don't think Arsenal will win. If Arsenal win, I will be surprised, because Spurs look really good against Liverpool. But Spurs have got a mistake in them, which Arsenal can capitalise on, and then Arsenal got a mistake. I don't really know. Do I think Arsenal will get top 4? Still think yes. I'm just going to say yes just to stir it. But I don't think either team right now. I mean, when I came in, I heard Dave talk about his 3 world-class players up front. We'll get on that. How Kulusevski's not world-class, but it's fine. Kane Son are.
It's more than lack of threat,
I mean, if you're comparing Kulusevski to Lacazette, then literally Kulusevski's not a world-class player.
Hang on, is it not your fan base that has made up all these nicknames for Lacazette? It's not Spurs fan base that has done it. What is it Troops and all used to say about Lacazette?
We're not going on about nicknames. We're going on about Kulusevski is a world-class player, not nicknames.
No, but the reason why I brought up the nicknames is because you said Lacazette isn't world class, but it's easy to say that now. But when he first arrived, you were all over it, giving him all the nicknames and everything. Look, Kulusevski's better than Lacazette. He's better than Saka Crap. He's better than Emma Smith can't roll a ball, and he's better than the cheap cleaning product.
But none of them are world class players.
Yeah, exactly. But ours are. That's what I'm trying to
see. Kulusevski is not a world class player.
The thing is, I wouldn't expect you to know what a world class player is because you don't have it in your squad.
This is brilliant.
But Kulusevski still wasn't a world-class player. You're still not defending him. You keep saying about how you have others. Kulusevski is not a world-class player.
He's done more than most of your front line in the Premier League, and he's only come in middle of February.
No, he hasn't. Saka's done a lot better than him. But you're going to say he won't because you're Spurs fans. That's fine. You are. You're literally going to say he's done better than Saka when he hasn't.
How long of a season has Saka had compared to Kulusevski?
That's not the point I'm making.
No, that's the point I'm making. Answer it.
Saka has done better than Kulusevski.
No, he hasn't.
Yes, why hasn't he?
I mean, Kulusevski has come in. He's had to adapt to look. Saka has to come in and play with like Odegaard and people his same age. Kulusevski had to come in and try and acclimatise and form a relationship with Kane and Sonny. And he's done that. And that's a daunting thing for any youngster to come into Tottenham and do. And he's completely done that when we've had other players that haven't been able to fill it. The guy has 8 goals and 3 assists since he's come into this club. And he only came in and made his first appearance in the middle of February. He's got more numbers than Smith Rowe, more numbers than Odegaard.
Look at this stat.
More or less close to Saka, more than lack of threat, more than Nketiah, more than your whole front line. So, I mean, how is he not world class?
Because he's just not a world-class player. A world-class player is Kevin De Bruyne and Son and Harry Kane. The list is endless. Kulusevski's not in that rule of line.
We'll see tomorrow. You know, you'll be sitting there watching the game and you're going, the Irish Hotspur, you know what, he was right.
Wait a minute. I just realized, Dave, are you saying that Kulusevski's a world-class player right now?
Wait, stop. I'm like the judge in the ring, like pushing him back. This is why I brought him on. This is absolutely brilliant. I'm absolutely loving this, by the way. But let's get this in the chat, guys, because there's about 25 watching and absolutely loving it. Let's put this in the chat, guys. Who do you think... No, let me rephrase that. Do you guys think Kulusevski is world-class? And the second question I've got for the chat, and the second question I've got in the chat is who is better, Kulusevski or Saka? Now, I know there's going to be a lot of Spurs bias in the chat, of course, and I understand that. But if you had to put a neutral head on, if you can, who do you think's better? I want to hear it in the chat because this has created an absolutely unbelievable debate. We've still got Gabriel on screen. Gabriel's well out the agenda now. We've moved on from Gabriel. He was moved on about 10 minutes ago. But let's get some people in the chat with their opinion. Jack is saying the Irish Hotspur... It's not even loading. The Irish Hotspur's argument was world-class. Deki Kulusevski is 100% world-class coming from someone who loves Finland. Thanks, Finn, for that. Leighton saying not yet, but he will be. So there is a bit of a balance here. Tommy Asu is only world-class player in Arsenal's team. Ireland saying more than any Arsenal player. Kev saying Deki isn't world-class player, so agrees with Dan. Dave's view of WC. Yep. What's WC?
World-class.
Oh, sorry. I don't know how I didn't get that. Who is Arsenal's left back? Deki isn't world-class. I mean, Leighton's saying Dave's killing him, but actually, I don't know. There's a couple of people here saying Deki isn't world-class. He's actually created a great argument. So, I mean, the comments are coming through on this. Kulu will be world-class, but he isn't yet. Tiramisu, world-class. Deki class, yes, but not world-class, according to Mr. Bobby K. Saka for the future and Deki now. I think Kulu definitely has potential to be world-class, and so does Saka. Deki is on his way. So actually, Dave, I'm going to have to say that most of the chat is saying he's on his way to being world-class. Would you agree with that?
I've said this before about Romero. Spurs fans are afraid to call their players world-class. They have to wait for them to be picked off by the top clubs before they call them world-class. I've said this on Spurs Related so many times. Said it on my channel so many times. You don't have to wait. It's okay. You don't have to wait for Bayern Munich to put in a bid for the guy or Madrid or Barcelona to put in a bid for the guy before you realise he's world-class. You can call him world-class. At the end of the day, he's come in, and if you look at his numbers so far this season and for the amount of games that he's played less than 1,000 minutes. Are they world-class numbers he's put up? And the answer is yes.
Interesting.
I don't agree with this. We had this exact same debate the last time you were on here about Romero, and I said, look, I think he's on his way. After only half a season, you cannot call a player world-class for half a season. You just can't. You cannot say Kulusevski is on the level of Son and Kane right now. Until we see, if this is him 2 seasons on, then sure, then that debate is more, it'll definitely be more on your side. But right now it's half a season. There's a reason there's something called one season wonders. You never know what's going to happen after one season. So let's see what happens with Kulusevski.
He's been around longer than one season. He's had a spell in Italy. He's been around longer than one season. But the numbers that he's posted since he's come into Tottenham are world class. Show me any better numbers for anyone from a January transfer signing that are better than his.
True. But just because he's the top of the signings doesn't mean he's world class.
We brought Andre into this. I'm just sitting back. I might go and get a beer or something. I'm just enjoying this debate. Honestly, this is brilliant.
Look, all I'm saying is I call these things early. And, I don't have to wait 2 years down the line for Andre to come and tell me I'm right. I call them nice and early.
Well, I mean, what happened with Dele Alli?
I think well class though.
But hang on, actually, I've got an opinion on that because Dele Alli was world class. Dele Alli was world class, and then he decided to get involved in Fortnite and Pep Guardiola's girlfriend. A girlfriend? Jesus Christ, that would have been an interesting dynamic. Pep Guardiola's daughter, and then he completely forgot about how to play football. He lost his head. He got invested in boohooman.com and started doing the moonwalks down the runway. Dele Alli had stuff off the pitch that diverted him away from his world-class talent, and no one can disagree with that. Dele Alli between 2014 and 2017 was world-class, and then his form went, his talent's still there, but his head's not there, his heart's not there, because he's invested in other things. When he was that keen teenager that came in off the blocks and was just hungry to prove himself as this £5 million player from NK Dons, no one expected him to do that well. No one. But he was world class because he was scoring goals in the Champions League. He was scoring goals in the Premier League that were very important to Spurs at the time. And he was just incredible. Everyone in this chat will admit this.
Made him look world class. Since we changed the system, he failed to adapt. And, Dele Alli was good at running in off Harry Kane, being the extra man. That's where he picked up a lot of his goals. But since we changed the system and sacked Pochettino, you could see the true Dele Alli. I always had my reservations about Dele Alli, to be honest with you. I always did. Look, don't get me wrong. I was enjoying the numbers he was putting up and that. But I could foresee it coming that, can he adapt to a different style of playing? He couldn't. He couldn't. The system made Dele Alli look world class. Whereas you look at the likes of Kulu, he can hold up the ball, he can run with the ball, he can assist players, he can pass a ball, and he can score goals.
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that he's had a this half season, ever since he joined Tottenham till now, he's been better than Saka. 100%.
Are his numbers world class though, Andre?
Are his numbers world?
For someone that's come in the middle of February to now, in the space of 2.5 months, are his numbers world class?
You got me there. They are good numbers. I can't lie. And for his age, and some of the cheekiness I see when he runs through players, yeah, I mean, I can't say he's world class yet. I can say his numbers are showing someone who has the potential to be world class. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'm not gonna sit there and say the man is world class right now because it's half a season. But do I think, if someone asks me, do you think he'll be world class? I think so. Those numbers are great. He changed our team when he joined. He ran through Lucas Moura and Bergwijn. He just went to the top there, and he hasn't budged. And Lucas Moura and Bergwijn are sitting on the bench wondering how a 21-year-old from the Juventus team, who was kind of on the bench there, has come in and just bumped them to the bench. They're bench warmers now.
Because I'd like to answer this one because Conte's seen something in training. He's seen something in Kulusevski. They've obviously signed him for a reason. They think he's wasted talent on that bench at Juventus. And don't forget, Juventus do have a very, very good team. Although they're not doing very well, they have an unbelievable team still. Kulusevski wasn't getting game time there. Conte's brought him in. Lucas Moura is inconsistent. We all know that. And maybe passing his sell-by date. Bergwijn didn't hit the ground running, and we know that Conte has something against Bergwijn. There's no hiding that. I mean, the guy could score 7 goals and he wouldn't start the next game. And so Kulusevski's got that chance to prove himself. And is he world class? Do you know what? I'll leave that one to everyone else to debate. I personally think he could be. He could be, but not yet. I agree with the majority here. I think you've got to prove yourself for a number of years. But I also see Dave Spin. He's ahead of the curve and everything else. But it was an interesting debate. A very interesting debate. I do think we should move on to the form now, guys, before we start acting like Arsenal fan TV and we're so angry about everything, because we're not. We like the vibe here. But guys, there's 20 of you still on this live stream. I do appreciate all the support and all the comments. We really are loving this one so far, this little special Arsenal preview. Please do smash the like button if you are enjoying this content, by the way. I forgot to throw that one in there. And I've seen a lot of new faces, so do subscribe if you're new. It's great to have these new faces in here talking everything Spurs. But Andre, it's over to you for that form now, mate.
Great. Let's start with head-to-head. Here's our last 5 fixtures against Arsenal. 2 wins against them, 1 draw, and then 2 losses against them. So it's pretty even, to be honest. It's the most even I've seen it, especially compared to that Liverpool fixture from the other day that we had to just get that off the screen quickly. Losses everywhere. But yeah, it's not looking very good compared to our most recent games. We've lost twice against them. What are your thoughts there, Dan? Let's start with you. What do you think of your chances this time?
If we're going on form for this season, you can't really pick either team, because no team has been able to have form. Like Arsenal, we've done really well, and then we lose 3-0 to Palace. Right, okay, there's that gone. You guys are brilliantly against City, and then like next game lose to Burnley, then you do really well. No team has had form, which is probably why we're both struggling for top 4.
Yeah.
As I say, Arsenal have just edged it, but obviously in the games. But I think, in fairness, the 2021-09, was that when Lamela got sent off?
Yeah. Was it that one, or was it the 2-1 loss?
Was it 2021?
No, it was the March. I think it was the March one.
2020.
Was it? Yeah. Well, Lamela obviously lost his head, got red. I think every single time you've lost, there's probably been a red card. I don't think there's been 11 men for Spurs, which obviously hasn't helped. Lamela lost his head. I think Lamela lost his head twice in 2 fixtures. I think he has. I'm sure. I don't
think he got 2 reds, but I mean, he probably could have lost his head in the second one. But...
Yeah. So obviously one of the losses, you were down to 10 men, and then I can't remember what happened in September game, to be honest. But if we're going by form, it's probably even worse to tell me who's going to win judging by form, because neither team has been good this season. I mean, we just have to wait and see, I suppose. I am still saying draw. I don't know why I've got draw on my head. I can't get draw out. But I coming from an Arsenal fan, I will be surprised if Arsenal win. We made it hard against Leeds. We made it. I mean, Jesus Christ, they were down to 10 men in 24 minutes, and then we were defending for the next 35 minutes end of the game to 10 men against Leeds.
They won one. Didn't they win 1-0 when it was 10v11?
Yes. They actually won 1-0 in the half. I don't know what happened.
That's got to be concerning. That's got to be concerning. I mean, I was watching that game and we turned it off at half time at Joe's. Like I said,
I did.
And we turned it off because I was like, Arsenal are going to win 4-5-0 there. And then I checked the score and it was 2-1. I was thinking, Arsenal must be playing pretty poorly to not be taking advantage on relegation-threatened Leeds with 10 men.
But this is the problem. This is the problem that I keep saying both teams. We beat Chelsea 4-2. I think it was Chelsea 4 and Man United, and then 10 men Leeds. We're like, oof, this is a struggle. What? Like, I don't understand how any of it works. And it's not exactly we have a different team. The team's the same. It's just there is no form. If we have form, we wouldn't be struggling to beat our rivals a 4th if we had form. But we don't have form, so that's why we're in this position. That's why I'm here, because we don't have form.
Yeah. Dave, switching to you, mate. What do you think in terms of form? Do you think it means anything? I know you like your stats. I've been on your channel many times, and you like the little breakdowns and the who scored last time. But do you think it has anything to do with this season being such a one-off, kind of almost like a final, really, isn't it?
Look, the numbers going into North London derbies don't tend to lie. Look, the North London derbies do tend to favour the home side. I mean, go back over the last 19 games, only one of them has been won by the away side, and that was Arsenal in 2014. So and that's in the, I think that's in the Premier League. That is, each team has done each other in the League Cup away from home, but in the Premier League,
yeah.
And for me, look, and there's been 6 draws in them 19 games, but you know what? Going into this one, I just think with all the added spice into it, with Arsenal running scared of Lucas Moura and Harry Winks, which players at the AFCON, injuries, selling players, and postponing the game. I just think that added spice going into it, and I just think Conte will be a massive factor as well. I think Conte will have the tactics and the know-how to be able to, intimidate Arteta and get us over the line. I'll stick with the numbers, and I'm going to go with Tottenham to win this. Look, Arsenal surprised me. I'll give them credit. They surprised me up against West Ham, Chelsea, United. I honestly expected them maybe to beat West Ham, but I didn't expect them to beat United and Chelsea. And I was surprised at that little run. And look, at the end of the day, if they get top 4, they deserve it. If we get top 4, we deserve it.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that whoever gets top 4, I think will have the better chance to go on and start building on what they have and start challenging the likes of City and Liverpool. I think it's crucial, because if Arsenal get top 4 and we're going for the same players, they're more than likely to go to Arsenal because they have Champions League. Whereas if we're not going for the same players, Tottenham will have a good pull because the Antonio Conte factor. But if you're going for the same players, the Champions League will ultimately be the decider. And I want to be the best team in North London. But I do think Kane will show up. He hasn't scored in these last 2 North London derby games. I believe he will have a point to prove. He will want a goal. Sonny has scored in his last 2 North London home games. So I believe he'll probably be looking to get on the score sheet. And the one and only, the world-class player himself, the ginger from Sweden, Kulusevski, I think you'll see him show up as well. But look, form goes, in terms of recent form, it goes out the window going into a North London derby, but the form throughout the North London derbies tend to stay the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with one of your first points about, it's made me think. Every time we go to the Emirates, we seem to get turned over. And every time Arsenal come to Spurs, we seem to turn them over. It's very much suggests that, that home form does play a massive part, that home crowd, that atmosphere, that 12th man, if you like. And I think it's going to be the same tomorrow. But, I don't want to hint at my score prediction yet. We're going to get to that in literally maybe about 5 minutes, guys. I know that's your favourite bit of the show, getting your score predictions in the chat and comparing them. But before we do that, Dave, I know you've got to go very soon, so I'm very keen to get to that very quickly. But Andre, let's quickly run down the injuries and the form for both sides.
Perfect. So let's start with injuries. Spurs exactly the same as last time. Reguilon, Tanganga, Doherty, and Skip are out. It looks like they're just going to be out till the end of the season, to be honest. So I think from now on, let's just assume those 4 are out. And then for Arsenal, it's just, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, it's just Ben White who's questionable. Saka has been deemed healthy to play, right?
Yeah, I was hoping Ben White couldn't start, but there he is. So I thought Gabriel has to, and Tavares has to, and Xhaka has to. But other than that they can start.
Look, our difference.
I won't get involved with Xhaka because I don't know how Xhaka has an Arsenal career, but that's for another. That's for another time. I think we haven't got enough time for me to go on about him. But yeah.
Well, I'd love to hear one day what you have to say about Ben White. That's funny. I thought he was actually playing very good this season, but I guess not.
He's been a bit average. The Arsenal defense has been average, hasn't it? There's no been standout player. They've done somewhat of a job.
Yeah,
I don't know how we haven't conceded. Well, one corner, which ironically was against Leeds. That's the only corner we've not conceded or conceded from. I don't know how that's worked, but they've done it. I think if Ramsdale wasn't in goal, we wouldn't be 4th.
I was actually listening to Ramsdale on the Ben Foster podcast the other day, and he was talking about the set piece coach that he got in, and that I think that this came out before the Leeds game, obviously, but you hadn't conceded a goal from set pieces all season, and you were producing more numbers from attacking set pieces as well. So I think that's definitely something Spurs could look at, because I know Liverpool have it and stuff like that. City have one as well. As these set piece coaches, because it's really worked for Arsenal.
It has baffled me. It really has. But I got when the ball's in play, The problem we have is Xhaka and Partey. I feel sorry for Partey. Partey has got it in there somewhere. I know he can be a class player. I don't know if he can't adjust or injury prone. It's there. We've seen glimpses of it, but he hasn't really hit the heights. Xhaka just keeps worming his way into the Arsenal team. I don't know how he does it, but he keeps worming his way in. And if we go core, Ben White and Gabriel, they do a job. But we've seen it when is it Maega for Crystal Palace, when you've got a big striker who's just ready not to necessarily run at them, just to pick them up and throw them around, they can't deal with it. But when you've got little players, they do really well with little players who try to run at them because they're both quite mobile and both quite fast. They're all right with that. But if Harry Kane starts jumping on them and pushing them around, then I think they'll deal with Son and Kulusevski better than they will with Harry Kane, because that's the sort of players that they are.
But also, Kane does very well in North London derbies, like his record in North London derbies.
He's going to score 100%.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to rely more on scoring than the defending, because personally, I think Tottenham has had Russian roulette defense. Other than Romero, you just don't know what you're going to get. You don't know which player is going to bite the bullet. You just don't know.
So are you saying Romero's world class, Andre?
I never said that. I never said he was shit. I'm saying that he's. I'm saying he's been our best defender. I don't understand.
I'm saying he's class. I'm saying he's class on the verge of.
Have you ever made like a first 11 Arsenal Spurs team?
Yeah, Dave did it on his channel earlier, actually, didn't you? Dave?
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Who got in? Who was it? Smith Rowe got in at number 10. I think we gave them Gabriel over Dyer and Tomiyasu over Emerson.
Yeah,
so three players.
Yeah, no.
Obviously, it was a bit biased, but I believe it. That's the main thing.
Sure, you don't want Xhaka? I mean, Xhaka would go straight in that midfield. He's so good.
I think, Dave, I just think you're a little too liberal with the words world class.
Maybe.
Hold back on.
No, but look, like I said, I don't need the big clubs to come circling, the big sharks to come circling before I start calling world class. I see little things in their game, and that's how I can judge it.
That has nothing to do with it. Everyone can agree Son and Harry Kane are world class, and they're still here.
Well, I mean, not everybody, because there's debates. I see a lot of Spurs fans and that having debates whether Son and Harry Kane are world class. And it goes back to my point. Spurs fans are too harsh on their players at times. They just don't want to call it because they can't believe it. That's what it is.
You know what? Yeah, could be. At that point, yeah, that's just beyond my perspective. So I personally think Son and Kane are world class. They didn't have to go anywhere for me to think that. And I think Romero will be world class. I think.
By the way, just to throw my opinion in on this very, very, very quickly, just a reminder that Andre doesn't think Romero's even class, let alone world class. So
not even top 3. So
he's not top 3.
He's been our best defender this season.
He didn't play well at the weekend, even though he was literally man of the match pretty much. But anyway, egg on his face there. I'll move on, Andre. I'll spare the blushes because I'm sure you'll get me back at some point.
100%.
Mr. Money is
on the farm.
Mr. Money, it's great to see you. He says Dyer, Davies and Romero have been really relatively consistent, especially compared to the backline historically. Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I mean, don't get me started on Ben Davies, for goodness sake. I mean, he had a great game actually against Liverpool, but so did Emerson.
He's better than Emerson, though, isn't he?
Oh, Davies is better. He's a different player, but what I'm saying is, like, you can have a great game, but you're still not a great player, right? Yeah. What's the phrase you like to say? Yeah, Dave. It's one summer or something.
It's
Sean's, isn't it? It's Sean's one.
Summers or something like that.
Yeah.
Make a summer or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hopefully he's been getting, like, the defense has been better, because now, James, you don't say that thing that you usually used to say about Davies every video.
Ben Davies, I'd say it to you now, mate. He's paper over the cracks. He's paper over the cracks in this team, and he is. He is. Do you want?
There's only one worse left back than Ben Davies. That is Tavares.
Well, Ben Davies is playing left centre back for us at the moment, and he's paper over the cracks in that position because we don't have a natural left centre back.
Because he was woeful at left back. Don't forget that.
Yeah, exactly. He's wet paper as well. He's wet paper over the cracks. It's like splitting as it's over the cracks. Honestly, Andre, if you for a minute, don't get me started. If you for a minute say you want Ben Davies in that starting 11 next year, I will quit this channel. Quit.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm actually going to go back to this comment, Mr. Money. I just want to make you recall our form between January and almost around the end of March. The most inconsistent team I've ever seen. Win, loss, all the way through. Didn't matter who we were facing. We could beat Man City, lose to Burnley the next game, win against, I don't know, did we beat Leeds? Yeah, we beat Leeds, and then we go and lose to, who did we face in the FA Cup that we lost to? Was it Middlesbrough? Yeah. So don't even talk to me about consistency with this team. It is the Russian roulette of defense. Even though they're consistent right now, we need new defenders in the summer.
People, the thing is, without going over this too much, people seem to have forgotten, right, that just because Ben Davies changed to a left centre back, I'm not saying he's had a bad season. In fact, I'm saying he's had a good season. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't progress and get an actual natural left centre back that is on paper over the cracks. You have to progress. You can't just go, actually, you know what? We're going to carry on with Ben Davies and Emerson because they can perform really well, but we'll forget about what we said at the start of the season where Dyer and Davies made a mistake every other game. It was like flip a coin. Is it going to be Davies or Dyer this week? Oh, it's Dyer. He's fucked up against Newcastle and we've lost. Oh, it's Davies. We fucked up and we lost against Burnley. Like, you can't say you don't want to progress from this. This is another video, isn't it? This is another video. Yeah. Andre, you've completely thrown me off here.
I like seeing James get rattled. I want to see more of that, Andre.
You see him every day.
Gotta get him. Oh, you should see. It's just I've been a little reserved with my opinions because some of them I hear about them after this video ends. He'll be like, Andre, what was that opinion?
we had to have a word about the Romero one. No, that had to go onto Twitter. That had to be settled.
But look, guys, I have to head off. I have to head over to the that Arsenal lounge now. So
look, we're getting replaced by the Arsenal channels now as well, Dave.
No, look, it's just you asked me today. You're lucky. You asked me today, and I was around. But they asked me, a couple of days ago, and I promised them I'll be there. So, of
course, mate, I'm completely messing with you, and we really do appreciate you joining such short notice. But before you do go, as we're going to do in just a minute, can we have a little score prediction off you and the scorers?
I'm going to go a cheeky 4-0 Tottenham, and let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. There's a lot of changes to this team that played them first time round. A, the change in the dugout and Antonio Conte. B, we had no Romero. Davies didn't play that game. Session didn't play that game. Bentancur or Kulusevski didn't play that game. We are a different proposition now than what we were back in September. And look, I just feel that Antonio Conte will not let these players forget that they did postpone that game in January. And I just, look, we want to go for top four. We want to give them an absolute battering so that it kind of carries on and has a knock-on effect into the likes of a Newcastle and Everton. And I'm predicting something magical at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tomorrow. I know North London derbies are usually tight enough affairs, but tomorrow I just have that feeling. I could be completely wrong, but I do have that feeling. I just look at Arsenal. I think they are a bit young and naive, and I think the pressure might just get to them.
Love it. Absolutely love it. 4-0. Wow, that is a clip if that comes off. I mean, that is a very unlikely scoreline, Dave. And I like the fact you kind of maybe a little bit away with the Spurs fairies on that one. But I gotta love it. You gotta love the optimism, right?
Do you know what, James? Most people that say that to me when I make my points, they come back to me, a little time later, and they're all like, "Oh, how did you see that?" At the end of the day, James, I usually say things before they happen. But look, the 4-0, it is a bit. But like I said, that's just based off my own feeling, the own feeling I get this week. And from what I've looked at going into the game, I do think that it could be a big scoreline towards Tottenham Hotspur.
Love it. And very quickly, scorers off the tongue.
Oh, look, Sonny will bag one. He's going for golden boot, so he'll want to catch Mo Salah. Harry Kane hasn't scored in these last 2 North London derbies, so I'm sure he'll want to grab a brace. And I'm going with Kulu to score tomorrow. I think he'll show up first own goal.
Wow, and then he will be edging towards that bar of world class, maybe. But listen, Dave, it's been an absolute pleasure. Guys, the video isn't ending just yet. We're going to do a little 5 minutes of the Spurs Relatables. But Dave, all the best, mate. Enjoy the video, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow.
No, thanks very much for having me. And Daniel, good banter, my man. Thank you.
See you later.
And Dave, very, very, very quickly, there's 25 people watching. I'm sure most of them are sub to you anyway, mate. But where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me over at the Irish Hotspur. Look, we're on the big push for 7K. From my experience, there's always one person in the chat that doesn't know who the guests are. So I should be gaining 1 subscriber. So get over there.
Let's see that one. Let's see that one, guys. Dave, all the best, mate. Thanks so much. Take it easy, bro. There we go. The Irish Hotspur not afraid of getting his opinion across. And it was an interesting debate. It was a very interesting debate on the Kulusevski debate. It's very interesting on the Arsenal kind of threats. But listen, it is that time, guys. It is time to get your score predictions in the chat. Wow, it's been an hour and 25 already. It's crazy. But get your scores, predictions in the chat for tomorrow's game, goal scorers and scoreline. And if someone gets it spot on the money with the goal scorer as well, I always promise that there will be a little prize. So let's throw that in there. We will get a little prize for someone that gets the score and correct scorers correct. So over to you guys. But in the meantime, I'm going to go with our guest, Daniel. What is the score and goal scorers going to be tomorrow?
I'm expecting a cagey game. I'm going to go complete opposite. So I'll explain it in a minute. I'll complete opposite. I think really cagey game. I think it's going to be a game of Arsenal have possession, Spurs have possession, Arsenal have. I don't think it's going to. Oh, I hope it's not a 4-0 Spurs. It would be a bit of an inconvenience. I think for some reason I think Martinelli will score. I just think that Martinelli and Romero. Sorry, not Romero. Emerson. I think that's an issue. So I think Martinelli will score. And I also think Kane will score, and I think that's how it'll stay.
Wow, 1-0.
Yeah, I can just. No team wants to lose this. If it and Arsenal are going to be defense. My only worry is Arsenal don't need to win this game. So my fear is Arsenal are just going to put 21 people behind the ball, and you lot are just going to keep going and going. But
would you take a draw, Dan?
Yeah. Oh, I take a draw all day. A draw. I get what to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and a draw. Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And technically, then you'd have would that be if you got the draw, you win the next game, you still have that cushion. I think would it be?
Yeah.
How many points would that be? At least 3,
4.
right? So
it's
4. There you go.
We're 4 points. Yeah. But I for some reason I can't get Martinelli out of my head, and Kane is world class, so Kane will definitely score. I can't see the other two scoring. As I said, you just heard my point about what I think of how our defence could deal with. Our defence can't deal with a big burly bloke like Kane.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think 1-1, but most of the ball will be towards Arsenal. I can't see Arsenal having a lot of the ball.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a fair reflection. 1-0. Wow. Okay. Interesting to hear. Some of the chat is saying Son brace 2-1, but Saka's going to get a penalty for Arsenal, says Leo Ball. Bobby K saying 6-0, Lloris with 12 saves. You always get the saves in there, Bobby K. You always get the saves in there. Mr. Manny says 3-1, Kane, Son, Kulu, and he put a nickname that I'm not going to put in the chat. I'm not going to put it up on the screen for a reason, but he said Nketiah. 17-0 Spurs, 10 Harry Kane, 3 goals for Emerson, 1 Lloris goal, and 3 Son goals. Alex, what's in your stake at the moment, mate? You've absolutely lost your head, fella. But
it's not even 17. I was checking.
Finn's loving it. Nketiah, not sure how you spelt it. Listen, you spelt it a way which I'm not going to read out in case it's interpreted another way. Finn says 2-0 Arsenal, Nketiah with a brace.
Nah.
Wow.
Nketiah got there in the end. Got you. Wait, whoa. I've just skipped over that. Finn, what are you doing, man? Finn, you're a Spurs fan, and you've gone 2-0 Arsenal, Nketiah with a brace.
And he's gone with the worst player to score on the pitch. Incredible.
Finn, you used to be one of the Spurs Relators. What's going on? Anyway, Finn, hopefully you feel a bit better tomorrow, mate, because you're feeling very negative today. That's brought the mood down a bit, actually, Finn. I know me saying 1-0 Arsenal, 5, what is going on here? 1-0 Arsenal, 5 Mickey Mouse, 2-0 Arsenal, 34 shite, 2-1 Spurs, then 2-2 Kane, then 3-2 Sonny, and then 90 plus 8 Antonio Conte is going to score. There's something in the air. I think Dave's just left and everyone's gone mad. I haven't lost my head. It's reality, Alex. Okay. If it's 17-0, then yeah. I mean, even if it's 7-0, even if it's 5-0, right? That's a thrashing. Or 4-0 is a thrashing in the North London derby. I always jinx scores, so I've gone with that rubbish. You always jinx scores, but that would suggest that you're gonna. Oh, anyway, Finn, we'll leave you to your opinion. Andre, what's your score prediction, mate?
I'm gonna go with 1-0. I'm gonna be 1-0 for Spurs, obviously.
Right.
Do you actually think that?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be.
Is it just because you're Spurs Related? Do you actually think that?
No, I actually think. I think we will be. I think there's so much at stake for us. I see us getting the better hand here, fighting like crazy to get those points. I think you guys might be a bit more relaxed even if you lose because it's still in your hands.
See, that's what worries me. But
I do think both teams will be trying their best to be defensive, to not let any goals. And I think it's just going to be Tottenham that's going to end up scoring 1 goal. I think it's going to be Son.
Okay.
I think he'll just be at the right place at the right time for it to get squared off or passed or picked up by Kane as Son moves past your defenders. Or it might just be that there's like a pen or something, in which case maybe Kane will take that. But I do think it's one of those two. But I'm just going to go with Son. I'm going to go with Son scoring the 1 goal. I'm not even going to bother with the form because I do think North London Derby, the form just goes out the window. It doesn't really matter too much what goes on. But just for those that are interested in the chat, at the moment, Spurs have 8 goals for, 3 goals against in their last 5, while Arsenal has scored 11 gols and let in 6 goals in their last 5 games.
So basically, how the hell do we predict who's going to win?
Yeah, and so far, Arsenal have played pretty close to the chest. 2-1 win, 2-1 win, 3-1 win, 4-2 win, and 1-0 loss. While Spurs, actually, yeah, they've also played it pretty close to the chest. But I do think for us, it's just going to be a very, very tight game all the way. Lots of tackles, lots of fouls, and it's just going to be us coming in at the end. Like,
do we think there's going to be a red? Sorry, I know this is scores, but do we think there's going to be a red? I mean, you've got Romero, Gabriel, Xhaka.
I think
it could get heated. I could get heated.
Yeah.
I could, but I think it would be more likely to get heated. It'd be more likely to get heated if Arsenal's winning.
It could get heated, Andre. I guarantee it's going to get heated.
It's going to get heated.
The biggest stakes in a North London derby for my whole lifetime, and it's heated anyway in a North London derby. Plus, it's a night game. I see about 10 cards.
I was saying 1 before 5 minutes.
There will be a horrendous challenge before minute 10.
Oh my goodness.
I reckon that will either be Romero, Xhaka, Gabriel, or Emerson, or probably even Bentancur, because it's his first North London.
Emerson loves a bit of it, doesn't he?
North London derby, and even we know that Kulusevski can get hot-headed and throw out an elbow like he did against Brighton. There's going to be cards, and in answer to Dan's question, I do see a red card. I do see about 10 yellows and a red card, if I'm being honest. And people might think, James, there's only going to be about 4. You watch, this is going to be nasty because there's such high stakes. And Spurs are known for losing their head when things don't go their way. And Arsenal are a dirty team in the North London derby. And Arsenal have some very dirty players as well. There will be cards.
I think it will also depend on which ref is officiating this game, because depending on which ref it is, there's going to be some.
Dean, you've won. Which one? If it's Mike Dean, then you've won because he hates Arsenal. But,
Really? I didn't know that.
yeah.
Well, all I'm saying is,
I think it was Mike Dean.
there's going to be inconsistent fouls being called, and that's what's going to get the teams heated. There's going to be some gross foul from Xhaka that gets called and a yellow, and then Romero will do the same tackle and not get called at all. It's going to be one of those games, I think.
I mean, Andre, the comment you said is I think it could get heated is probably up there with the Romero comment. I mean, that is.
I think James is heated.
It will get heated. Andre, if there's less than 4 cards, I'll give you a tenner. How about that?
And we're back to that again.
How about that? But listen, guys, the score predictions have been brilliant. I haven't given mine yet, have I? I'm honestly going. This is genuinely as accurate as I think it will be. I'm going for 2-1 Spurs. I think it'll be a very close game. I do think we'll edge it based on the 12th man of the crowd, based on it being a night game. We haven't seen a North London derby at night for a long time. I just genuinely think that we will escape this, and then it's all up to Arsenal to bottle it against Newcastle. Will they do that? I'm not sure. We're not reviewing that. But I do think we will win this game. Conte, like you said, Dan, Spurs played very well on Saturday against Liverpool. Are Arsenal better than Liverpool? Nowhere near. I do think he'll get the tactics spot on. I do think we'll set up correctly. I do think we'll hit you very early, as normally our first half performances are awful. Yeah. But I do think it'll be different.
First 25 minutes are going to be crucial for Arsenal. Just quickly, I know you do scores. How do you think they're going to score? How do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm quite good at actually. When I'm never spot on the money, but I'm quite good at telling people when I think people are going to score. So I think Spurs will start strong. We'll score within the first half an hour, and it'll be Harry Kane getting on the end of a cross. I then think Arsenal will get some kind of goal either before half time or just after half time with a 1-1. I could see that honestly being Nketiah, and people laughed when we put Nketiah in. I think he's their man at the moment.
He's on form. He's got form and confidence, and when a young player has form and confidence, exactly. they're dangerous, aren't they? So
exactly, I'm going Nketiah, and then I think we'll be all a bit nervy, and then the crowd will get behind the team, and I think Sonny will whip one from about 25 yards, and it'll be 2-1. And that's what I've got in my head. That's what I think. That's my honest opinion. Like we said, Spurs have a very good form against Arsenal at home. It's a very different story. It's a very different kettle of fish. Couple more score predictions. Kyle's in there. Big up, Kyle. He says, I'm going 4-0 Spurs with the Irish Hotspur. Look at that. Big up to your Gooner mate, James. Credit for coming on the Spurs channel. Good luck tomorrow. Sorry, I don't mean that. Big up to Dan. Big up to Bobby K there. They're going to need it. And Finn says Kulusevski is going to score a scorpion in the 31st. How about Lloris Rabona? Possibly. Guys, I think that's gone more off track than we were hoping. But listen, it's been absolutely brilliant. 1 hour 35 of content for you guys this Wednesday. We do hope you've enjoyed it. Please do smash a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. Subscribe if you're new, because I have seen some new faces in it, which has been absolutely great. Massive thanks to Andre for all the stats and opinions. Massive thanks to Dan for coming on and taking a bit of a grilling, but holding his own against the Irish Hotspur. It's one of the hardest people to hold his ground against, and he really did, to be fair to him. So massive thanks to Dan. Dan, I hope you've enjoyed it, mate.
I have, and always remember, North London is red and Saka's better than Son.
Fantastic. You just killed the vibe again, Dan. You just killed the vibe. But listen, it's great. It's been great to have you on. And big up to the Irish Hotspur, guys. Go and check out his channel. I'm sure you already subscribed anyway, but if you don't, let's get in that 1 sub. And remember, guys, as always, enjoy the game, stay positive, and we will be back here after the game for our match review. Let's hope it's good vibes, for goodness sake. But finally, guys, as always, remember, come on, you Spurs!